So now the training has complete and we have execute the Rasa shell command so that we can initiate the conversation. Now let me put a message here saying hello. Oh, sorry, I've just put a hello here. Anyways, it has understand and it says, hey, how can I help you? Now I'll ask for interview questions. So I'll put help me prepare for Java interview. Okay, help me prepare for Java interview. And as per the logic, it will only return OK. So you can see it is just replying OK because using the dispatcher object, we are passing the message OK. But I am printing the entities so that I can extract them. Now you might be wondering where can we see the entity? Well, you have to check that out in the another command prompt. And here you can see the entity got printed. I'll just copy this, okay, and I'll paste it in this whiteboard. Okay, so this is the entity structure that we have got. Now let me put one more message. That is, this time I'll ask for Python videos or something like that. Okay, so here it goes like, send me some tutorial for Python. Send me some tutorial for Python. Again, it should reply with OK. Yeah. And let's go and check the another command prompt. There we should get the second entity structure. So I'll copy this and we'll paste it in the whiteboard. Okay. Now the first thing that you need to understand is that in the first message, let me also type the message here or put the message here so that you get the idea. So the first message is help me prepare for Java interview. Help me prepare for Java interview. That is the first message. And this is the entity structure that we have got. Just a minute. Let me just remove a few stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first message, and this is the entity structure for that. And the second message is send me some tutorial for Python. Send me some tutorial for Python. So in the first message, there are two entities. One is the subject, which is Java, and the second entity is the material type, which is interview. In the second message, also, there are two entities. One is the material type, and the second one is subject. Okay. Now let's check the entity structure. So you can see this entities is actually a list. Okay, the entities is actually a list, and inside this list we have two separate dictionaries. I just shift it down just a minute. Okay, so there are two entities, and we have been returned a list that has two dictionaries. Okay, now in this list, there are two dictionaries, and in every dictionary we have entity, which is the entity group, which is subject, and the value, which is Java. And the second entity is interview. So entity is the material type and the value is interview. So I'm not interested in the other information that has been given, so I'll remove them and let me just focus on the information that is important. Similarly, here also I'm not interested in these information. I'll remove them and I'll remove this also. So as you can see here, in this list we have two entities, two dictionaries. First entity is Java, so the value is Java, and the name of the entity is subject. Okay. Similarly, the second entity is interview. So the value is interview and the entity is material type. Now, in this message, the subject is first and then the material type. But in the second message, we have the material type first and then we have the subject. You can check it out here. So, the same way, I'll remove the information that is not required. Okay. So, this is one entity and the other one, second entity. Perfect. Okay. So, the second message also, there are two entities. The first entity is tutorial. So you can see the value is tutorial and the entity is material type. Second entity is Python. So you can see the value is Python and the entity type is subject. Okay. In both the messages, you can see that in the first message, the subject comes first and then comes the material type. Okay. The subject comes first and then the material type. But in the second message, the material type comes first and then the subject. Okay. So that depends on the order of occurrence. Okay, that depends on the order of occurrence. So now we have to write a logic to extract these entities from the message. So first of all, now no need to print this. Here I will actually write a loop for entity in entities. Okay, for entity in entities. So it will actually loop over these two entities, these two dictionary. Okay, it will loop over these two dictionary. Now I will extract this entity key. I will extract this entity key and I will check whether it is subject or material type. Okay, so here I'll check if entity, I pass the key entity, whether it is equal to subject. And if yes, if it is equal to subject, then we will extract the value also. Okay, we'll extract the value and we will store the value. Okay, you will extract the value and we'll store it in some variable. Let's say we'll store it in a variable called subject. On the other hand, we'll also check if the entity, we pass the key entity, we'll check if it is material type. And if the material type, if the entity is material type, then we'll store it in a variable. We'll store that value in a variable called material type. Okay, we'll store it in a variable called material type. So first of all, we are checking, we are looping over all the entities and checking what is the entity. Is it subject or is it material type? If it is a subject, then we are storing the value in a variable called subject. If it is material type, then we are storing that value in a variable called material type. Now here, after that, we can actually write the code or checking further. That is, if the subject is equal to Java, if the subject is equal to Java, then you can further check if the material type is equal to interview, or else it could be something else, right? Else it can be tutorial. That's the another option that you have. Else if it is tutorial, or simply you can put another if condition if material type equal to tutorial, and you can write your logic under that. Similarly, another condition for checking whether the subject is equal to Python. And further, you will check whether the material type is interview or is the material type tutorial. And accordingly, in these slots, you have to return the output. Okay. Let's continue that in the next video.